Our comm department thanks you. That's very nice. Yeah, we only need to show it once. Pretty sure everyone got it. Thank you for allowing me to be here today. It's a real pleasure, and it was great to hear the discussion prior, which I think only starts to whet everyone's appetite for some interesting conversation. I'm here to talk about a couple things. One, just to talk a little bit about Skoll Foundation, who we are and what we do, and then our emphasis on women and girls, and particularly India, given that's our theme here today. And then hopefully end with some give and get of where we would love to see greater partnership with all of you, and hopefully what we can give as part of that. To start, so what we do, the foundation, as mentioned in the video, we've been around for 15 years. We have invested nearly $400 million in social entrepreneurs in that time. And for us, people often say, well, what is social entrepreneurship? What is your definition of social entrepreneur? For us, it's very distinct from an organization doing great service providing work or advocacy work. So distinct from those kinds of organizations, we look for what we call systems disruption. So an organization that not only has a great innovation, sees a problem, has a unique angle on how to solve it, but then also looks at how does that status quo go from being unjust to actually changing the system and how it works to being just and sustainable. So that's a unique angle. Peter talked about focus. We focus very concretely on mezzanine level funding. So we do not do early stage startups. We look at those who have a track record, have again, promising innovation. And then where we come in, that is probably more unique, is focus on the inflection point. How is the market responding to pull that innovation, either from a business perspective or from a government perspective or from a particular systems perspective? A little bit more about who we are. We've given the Skoll Award for Social Entrepreneurship, which is our primary vehicle, to 91 organizations working in over 130 countries. And our mission, just to be clear, is to drive large-scale change by investing, connecting, and celebrating social entrepreneurs and those innovators who help solve the world's most pressing problems. And I'll come back to the innovators in just a minute. Central to our mission is this focus again, 15 years ago, and it was really cued by Jeff Skoll, who's our founder, that the power of community really matters. And if you give the right platform, empower those communities, they know what's best for them. So with that premise, we chose as an organization not to be issue experts. We really can't be. As a foundation of 48 people, we have $1 billion. We know that's a small slice of the big puzzle piece that needs to, in terms of solving those problems. So we look for, again, instead of going deep on issues, we certainly consider issue areas, and our organizations that we work with, we have to understand them well enough to be able to partner, but we look to our social entrepreneurs as those experts in their issues, in their geographies, in their innovations. We also, in addition, we have given the extraordinary, and I'm sure all of you know, the small percentage of U.S. philanthropy giving, the 2 to 3% of U.S. GDP, which is just unthinkable. And again, not having changed that percentage since the 1970s, there's so much more we need to do as philanthropists, working together, working collaboratively. So again, as we look to leverage our $1 billion endowment, strategic partnership is fundamental to who we hire, what we do, the way we work with our organizations. That partnership includes the Jeff Skoll Group, who I would be remiss not to mention. We have Participant Media, the entertainment company that does many movies that hopefully you've seen, including Malala, which is our most recent. We have Capricorn Investment Group, and Dipender Saluja is here today, who we really partner with actively to look at where could there be alignment between for-profit investing and the kind of social investing that we do. We also have the Skoll Global Threats Fund, which focuses on specific threats, and that's based in San Francisco as well. Back in the beginning, also based on an initial landscape that we did, we also made, this decision to focus on mezzanine level was very deliberate. And mezzanine it's not exactly the same as a for-profit mezzanine level because we're a little earlier than what would be considered in that traditional investment. But we, again, not the startup level. And the reason for that is we do think there's a gap currently between how organizations can really scale. Once they've proven their model, once they believe they have some good measurement, they're tracking, they have good evidence, it's very difficult, as was called out in the panel, that continuum of where they go next is really difficult. And we hear from our social entrepreneurs all the time that this is a big problem. They have to return to the same funders time and time again instead of building a continuum of, okay, where does that torch pass next? So we see ourselves at the Skoll Foundation as a bridge between, the prove your innovation, get your track record, hopefully establish some partnerships either with business or with government or particular systems so that then we can use our funding, which is unrestricted, to help you get to that next level and ultimately work with those larger institutions to co-invest. So whether that's USAID, whether that's the Gates Foundation, whether that's business, we're constantly doing more and need to do more to get that other part of the pipeline developed. At Skoll, the other part that's unique, and I wish it wasn't so unique to us. In our branding surveys, we hear this all the time. It's what we're known for, and it's kind of pathetic to me. And that is that we're an unrestricted funder. It's sad to me that we're known for that. If you look at the R&D and how critical that is for entrepreneurs and for businesses, we see unrestricted funding as that equal. We have to have more of it for our entrepreneurs, for them to be able to create, for them to scale, for them to pay good talent. We're constantly advocating for that, and I hope more of us can be champions for that moving forward. There's a definite need. The Skoll Award, if I didn't say it already, it's $1.25 million. Again, that's unrestricted funding. Over a 3-year period, we bring 4 to 6 new organizations in every year. And then that complements the portfolio that we have already. As I mentioned, there's 91 organizations in the portfolio that we work with really in perpetuity. Our goal is not to say, here's your 3-year grant, thank you, good luck. It's really to say, okay, how then can we partner along the way in your cycle, in your life cycle of the organization? So that creates a challenge for us as we get bigger, and again, makes us rely even more on other strategic partnerships as we think about services we can help provide to the full portfolio, much like a venture capital organization would. Women and girls. So we have currently 40% of Skoll's portfolio is led or it includes women social entrepreneur leaders. 40% seems like a lot compared to, again, some of our other funders and foundations. We think that's, again, not good enough. We struggle a lot to identify and look at local sources, partners, so I'm really hopeful many of you can be proactive with us in identifying those organizations that are doing terrific work. We know, given all the evidence, given some of the conversations that happened earlier this morning, the key is to get women and girls in leadership positions to be taking care of their communities. We know that returns value, so how do we continue that over time? In India, we have about a fifth of our portfolio operates within India. It's a geographic focus and priority for us, so that will only continue to grow higher. I think we have a slide that can show you some of the first slide, if we have it. Great. These are some of the organizations actually working on the women and girls issue. Many will be familiar to all of you. And then second slide is the organizations in India, which include, again, organizations you may know, but water sanitation for the urban poor, Landesa, which is focused on land rights, a lot of focus on women, land rights and strong emphasis on the community. Goodweave, which is an organization that really wants to rid supply chains of any kind of child labor. And as you know, with the human trafficking, with the refugee crisis, that's becoming even more important. And we're excited about some of the corporations that are coming to the table around their supply chain transparency. So Target has just signed on with Goodweave in a global partnership, which we're pretty excited about. And then Pratham, who I think many of you know, educating millions and really looking at their curriculum, their model is replicating across India, which is no small feat. And then an example of a crossover between An organization working in women and girls in that issue, and in India is Educate Girls, which Neera mentioned, and we have a video of them that I thought would be interesting to show, so if we can cue that.
The school was really far. This girl would walk down the mountain, climb up another mountain, and every 20 minutes, she would shout back at her mother, and then her mother would shout back at her. So that they could hear each other, they knew that she was still on her way and that she was still safe. I used to cry every time I would think of her because she spent an hour plus every day walking across the mountains to go to school. It was just incredible to me that the sacrifices that the girls are willing to make just for an education. Things that we take for granted. India has the highest number of out-of-school girls anywhere on the planet. It has the highest number of child brides anywhere on the planet. And it has the highest number of women and girls in sexual and other forms of slavery. We live in a time where a goat is an asset and a girl is a liability.
गवर्नमेंट की जिम्मेदारी के रूप में गवर्नमेंट तो चाहती है कि 100% एनरोलमेंट हो, चाहे बॉयज़ हो चाहे गर्ल्स हो, लेकिन ग्राउंड लेवल पर जो प्रॉब्लमेटिक एरिया है,
क्यों लगता है क्योंकि जो लड़की होती है वो तो राजस्थान में बेसिकली माना जाता है कि लड़कियां घर की लक्ष्मी होती है, पर ये भी देखा जाता है कि लड़कियों को हम पढ़ाएं नहीं, लड़कों को हम स्कूल में भेज दें।
नमस्ते आंटी जी। आंटी जी मैं एजुकेट गर्ल्स से आई हूँ, टीम बालिका हूँ।
I'm trying to solve the problem by first focusing on critical gender gap areas, rural, tribal, remote areas where the indicators for the girl child are the worst, and finding every single girl in those villages who's out of school, making sure that every single of those girls is enrolled back.
मतलब आपकी जो बच्चे हैं ना बालिका शिक्षा पे हम जो काम कर रहे हैं, तीनों की तीनों लड़कियां हैं, जो कि मैं अभी अध्यापक ने बताया कि क्या बोलते हैं ड्रॉप आउट।
The main way we do this is through our community volunteer called Team Balika. They're young, they're educated, they're passionate, they really want to see a change.
दो ये थी और दो वो थी।
We're actually building an army of champions for girls' education. And because the entire issue of gender is up here, that's the best long-term way to counter it.
स्कूल में नहीं थी तब तक घर पर काम मिस करती थी, इसलिए सोचा था कि मैं विद्यालय पढ़ूंगी। मैं सब कुछ पढ़ी हूँ, डिग्री भी हूँ, यहाँ सभी सुविधाएं हैं।
The model is a public-private partnership model because to get at really large scale, you have to work with the government. And it leverages a lot of underutilized resources, working with parents through school management committees, teacher training, doing community mobilization through village meetings.
पास में जो स्कूल हो वहाँ पे उसका नामांकन कराना, उसको भर्ती करानी, मतलब काम करना ऐसी कोई।
सबसे अच्छी बात ये लगी कि आप ग्राउंड लेवल पर हमारे से जुड़े। ग्राउंड लेवल पर जो प्रॉब्लम हमारी एजुकेशन गर्ल्स को लेकर आ रही है, उसमें आप हमारी मदद के लिए आप जुड़े।
जैसे कि मैंने कहा 4 दूनी कितने होते हैं, तो अपन क्या करेंगे स्टार्टिंग में।
So now we're focusing on improving the learning outcomes and improving the quality. I'm actually very optimistic because I feel that today is the time for this issue. If it was like 20 years ago, I'd have to first convince you about the importance of girls' education and stuff, but right now the dialogue is building up. There's a huge momentum building up.
In its first district, Educate Girls enrolled more than 55,000 girls and reduced girls' dropout rate by 93%. By 2018, Educate Girls aims to reach more than half of India's gender gap districts, nearly 4 million students.
मैं पढ़ लिख कर देश की सेवा करना चाहती हूँ और जैसे कि मुख्यमंत्री है, प्रधानमंत्री है, ऐसा कुछ बनना चाहती हूँ और मैं देश के लिए सेवा करना चाहती हूँ। मैं आगे जाके टीचर बनना चाहती हूँ, लड़कियों को पढ़ाना चाहती हूँ। मैं भी दूसरी लड़कियों को, हमारे गांव में लड़कियाँ हैं, उनको ऐसे बोलना चाहती हूँ तुम भी पढ़ो.
Not one girl has said to me that I don't want an education, I want to sit at home, or I want to look after the cattle. Every single girl I meet wants to go to school. And that for me is my biggest source of hope.
I should note that Educate Girls was a referral, direct result of our partnership with Dasra. So thanks to Dasra for helping us find them. And you know, the video and the story, I should also mention, a lot of the challenges when our entrepreneurs come into the portfolio, they talk about how do you tell your story and how do you combine the impact and evidence with the celebrate aspect of a personal story and that gets people's hearts and minds. And so we spent a lot of time on what is that cultural change that you want to achieve. How do you break through the narrative that exists today and try to create a new narrative, and whether that's at a local village level or whether that's at a global level or policy level. And it's something we're learning a lot about. That's where we haven't mastered it, but we're continuing to hear from our entrepreneurs that they need our help with those kinds of issues, getting air cover so that they can continue the work on the ground. In closing, and I'd love to spend more time, whether at lunch, breaks, what have you. Just thought I would conclude with a give and a get. First, what can the Skoll Foundation give to all of you? I hope, as you hopefully heard from me and from our colleagues, we are 100% committed to partnership as a way of working. That's not just talk for us, that's a part of each job description of our employees. So in an open source way, how can we provide information that may be useful to you on the social entrepreneurs that are in our portfolio? With their permission, we share evidence, we share learning. We're creating profiles on each of them that we hope to make available on our website that's newly designed, skoll.org. Take a look when you get a chance. And we hope that platform also becomes a more robust exchange mechanism so we can hear from others on what's working, what's not, what are areas of interest that we may be able to be more proactive about. And then where are there co-investment opportunities? So the other thing we could give is again, opportunities if there is interest to partner in investments with us. Raymond Guthrie, who's here, can raise his hand, heads up our investment group, and as we look at organizations, again, that are beyond the award, so the award is the first step, and then we continually look at the portfolio for those that we believe are really have another opportunity for that's ripe to co-invest with others to continue to invest and to scale. So we'd love to have those conversations, and if you're interested, let us know. What we hope to get, we're a small but mighty organization. We have 48, again, employees here in Palo Alto. We have lots of entrepreneurs working around the world, but we know many of you have other organizations that are local, that can be sources, that can be our eyes and ears on the ground to help us, whether it's, again, referring an organization you really are passionate and have energy around, or whether it's seeing a potential partnership that would be useful. We partner with organizations like TED, Sundance, PBS, USAID. We're very agnostic about the kinds of partnerships that we do. We really know we have to be in that space to look at where we can get traction for our entrepreneurs. And then be it formal or informal, again, what kinds of collaborations make the most sense for you with foundations? We know we can be a signal of what works, so how can we make that simpler? I think there's a lot of noise in the philanthropic space, promotions of individual organizations. How can we get above that and look at what we're seeing in terms of patterns? So another area for us that we hope both to give and to get is to be better at looking at what we're seeing in the area of women and girls, for example, and publishing and being able to have convenings and doing more of these kinds of exchanges that may be useful. So with that, I look forward to exploring more of it, more issues, more learning throughout the day, but really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you to Dasra for having me. And again, look forward to more conversations in the day ahead. Thanks.